about now?
Can you hear me? Test, test.
Yeah,
Let
it's
me.
the same sound.
Yeah, let
Same.
me. I'm gonna exit out. I'll come back in. I might just call in. I'm gonna just call in.
Okay, okay, I got you. Caller,
All right.
I'll bring you straight to this. 214. What's up?
How you doing, Fred?
How you feel, man?
Doing all right, man. Nice to meet you, Mr. Hunter. Nice to talk to you, sir.
Pleasure's all mine.
How you doing? I was just calling in, man. It wasn't about the Earl Smith fight. I wanted to ask you, man. Do you ever think we're gonna get that Gary Russell versus Tank fight?
Gary versus Tank.
Oh yeah.
Yes, sir.
I think anything possible. I definitely think that if both sides want it, I don't see why it wouldn't go down.
Yeah, but man, we were really, man. Us hardcore fans, we really want to see that fight, man. We really would like to see that Gary Russell and Tank fight, man. For the community on Juneteenth or something like that, man. That'd be a great fight.
Well, I tell you what, of course, if you put both of them dudes that's from the city that can fight, that the city love, you put them in a fight in that city, uh, bruh, I don't even think they'll find an arena big enough to hold it.
Mm.
Right, right.
Not in that city anyway.
Right. And the last thing, you don't have to answer it if you don't want to. What do you think about what's going on with the Tyson Fury stuff and Deontay Wilder?
I really haven't heard, and I just found out today that Deontay fired his whole camp. I guess just what I was told. I don't know if it's fact, Fred. You make an answer that.
Yeah, he fired 1984. I'm drawing Mark Breland. Mark Breland.
He fight again?
Yeah.
Wow. And is it based on the Tyson Fury fight or?
Yeah, it's based on the Tyson Fury fight. Yeah.
Wow. That's heavy, man.
What do you think about the gloves? Did you see the gloves? Do you think? I mean,
Look, I really, really hate those type of conspiracy theories, and I'll tell you why.
I heard you.
I'll tell you why. Love Deontay. Deontay been in camp with us, before he became that guy. So we saw the rise. The thing I don't like is the fact that they had to check his hand wraps before and after the fight, and they literally take your hand wraps now. They had to inspect the gloves, both sides. When you, I don't know how deep you go with it, but after the weigh-in, they take both parties in the back, and there's 4 sets of gloves. Each side has a 1 and a 2, and they got to sign off on it. But both parties can inspect all 4 gloves. And so, in that case, if something was wrong with the gloves, now you got to bring the commission in on this conspiracy, and everybody. I'm not buying that unless they saw something or like this thing going on with Donald Trump. Show me the evidence. If you got it, show me the evidence. If you don't have it, I can't go with that, man. You know what I mean? And that's taken away from what Tyson Fury did that night.
All right. I mean, it's a lot of stuff out there, Mr. Hunter. A lot of pictures out there, man, and videos showing it. But I mean, anyway, besides that though, let's get to the with the Earl Spence. And I personally, I agree with everybody else as far as they saying about the Earl Spence and his hunger. I think we're gonna see the 2015-16 Earl, man. Especially the way his
That's a bad man.
Looking, man.
That's a bad man.
Man, and I think he's gonna stop Earl around. I think he's gonna stop Danny like around 9-10 myself, man. Earlier on Champ Side channel, he had one of Earl's first trainers that Earl first stepped in the gym with call in. And
Will Harris. Do you know who Will Harris is? Shout out to Champ Side. Coach Barry. Did you know Will Harris?
I didn't know him, but yes, I knew that Dirk got Earl, I believe, when Earl was 13 or 14 years old. Mm-hmm. But I knew he had another coach.
Okay.
Yeah, and he was just giving out a lot of insight of his mental and his like his hunger and his drive, man. And that was really cool, man. It was cool listening to you because it was sounding exactly what Mr. Harris was saying. That same type of quiet attitude over there, quiet himself, won't talk to nobody, but was just getting the ring and murdered cats and stuff, man. And
No, that's true. Like I said, I personally bear witness to him in fights, in sparring, and you don't want to be calling names and stuff like that. And I watched him do a lot of damage, man. And in Danny's case, when I first saw him at the U.S. Championship, these was the qualifiers for the Olympic trials, and at that time I was with Fernando Guerrero, and
Bad
the
man and amateurs. God
yeah,
damn.
he was on fire at one time. And the crazy part about it is Fernando beat Sean in the U.S. championship to gain his spot for the Olympic trials. And Sean ended up beating him in the trials and put him out of it. That's
Wow.
the first time that I had the pleasure of seeing Danny Garcia. And the first time I saw him, the first time I saw Danny, I thought that day that he would be more suitable for the pros than the amateurs because of his style of fight and his pace.
You got anything else?
what about
Okay.
him and Crawford? How do you see that going? And I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all go for it. Appreciate it,
Oh,
bro.
all the time,
It's
man.
LT, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, you too, sir.
Speaking about Bud Crawford and again Earl Spence, that's a fight that I really want to see. Or Bud versus
Yeah, that's a fight that we all want to see, man. But obviously, we got two immovable mountains, man. There you go, Reg. I was about to call you, man. Go ahead, Reg. What's up?
Oh yeah, man. What's up to the legendary coach and my brother Fred, man?
How you doing, brother?
Yes, dude, man. Hey, man, coach, I got a series of questions, man, and it goes into kind of your history and also kind of a history of this new age of boxing. But what got you into the sport? What brought you in? Did you come into your interest in the game of boxing as a fighter yourself, or was it that some people just well versed that you just have a knowledge of the game of fighting? So what brought you into the sport of boxing?
The thing that really brought me into the sport was Ali, to be honest with you.
Wow.
Ali Frazier. That fight, and back then, of course, in the 60s,
Ali Frazier.
we were still listening to some programs on the radio. And then Sports Illustrated came out with Ali and Frazier on of course on the cover. And I had never really heard nobody speak that way with that confidence. Keep in mind, I was a kid. And he was so brave. It made me want to do the same thing. I had got bullied one time. True story. I lived in the northeast side of DC, and they had back then, of course, the corner stores, the mom and pop stores. And we always get 50 cents or a quarter. You run across the street, get you a big old sugar cookie, a bag of them for 25 cents. Or in this case, I wanted some, I believe it was Now Laters. And it was raining this day, and it was in the evening. And coming out or either going into the store, I want to say going into the store, there was a guy, bigger, older. He was in his teens, and I couldn't have been no more because I moved away from the Northeast when I was 9, so I had to be around 7-ish or 8. And the man took my money, and I cried my eyes out.
Wow.
And I never ever wanted to feel that vulnerable again. So my dad bought me some boxing gloves, and that's how I got involved in it. And then when I moved to Ridge Road in Southeast, playing baseball, they took us from the baseball diamond to the boxing gym, and that's how I got introduced to boxing.
Man, that's solid stuff right there. So leading into that, man, what was the first fighter that landed you in as a boxer or as a trainer from that moment?
Started as a boxer. The training part came in. There was a kid that lived on the south side with us. I believe it was in Greenway. His name was Marvin Lee. And in the boys club at that time. The boys club, it was 3 sections. There was the boxing gym, there was the rec room in the middle. On the other end, it was the weight room and the dojo for martial arts. This kid took martial arts. He was a karate guy. And came over to the gym one day. I knew him from the neighborhood. About, I think mom was about 15-ish, between 14 and 16. And he wanted to learn how to box. And he asked me, and I said, well, and the coach wasn't there that day. And he asked me, and I said, man, I don't know nothing about teaching nobody how to box. I said, I could show you, what I know, but other than that, man, you gotta wait on the coach. And so, sure enough, he went back across the room. About a day or two later, Officer Williams, which was his martial arts instructor, came over. He said, it's okay, I don't mind if you work around with him. Now I'm scared because I don't want the coach to think, that I'm trying to step on his toes. And so Marvin would come after he left the dojo, would come over there with me, either early or late, but before the coach was there or after he was gone. And we would put combinations in the numbers, 5, 4, 3, all kinds of symbols and signs. And so when he would spar, I'd be somewhere in the room, and I'd hold my hand up, give him a sign, a symbol, a number, and he'd know exactly what to do. Well, he ended up, they put him in his first fight, and he ended up stopping the kid in the first round. And when I saw that, I've been chasing that high ever since. And that's how I got into coaching. I was between 17, just getting ready to turn 18 years old.
Wow.
Man, that's why I love hearing these stories, man. My next one, man, is dealing with the amateur side. So I know America had great amateur programs dating for like the 40s, all the way up, maybe cutting it off at the late 80s, maybe early 90s. What ended up changing with the amateur program and American fighters as a whole? I hear some people bring it up as far as the 80s being the cutoff with the drug epidemic and things like that. But what is your reason behind the changing of the amateur program, and is the amateur program a little bit under? I don't know. I guess I'll pass that to you.
It's funny, man. You guys are very, very knowledgeable as far as this boxing game is concerned. That was another conversation that we had today. In fact, when we were interviewing some of the fighters, I'm in Miami right now, and myself, Barry Tompkins, Raul Marquez, we out here with Henry Revolta Boxing. So, they're getting ready to put on a show tomorrow. But in the interview today, that discussion came up about the ghost of the past. I don't know how far you go back as far as amateur boxing. Let's go back to Ray Leonard, Howard Davis, Leo Randolph,
76.
the Spinks brothers in 76. What was the super heavyweight's name? John Tate. Let's go back to that team. That was a great team. I forget. And Charles Mooney won the silver medal. I forgot. And Heidi Lewis Curtis, I want to say Heidi may have medaled also, but I'm not sure. Heidi was a DC guy. That was an outstanding team. Then you go back to Pernell Whitaker, Evander Holyfield, Mark Breland. Again, another outstanding group of fighters. Mildred Taylor, of course, was on that team also. So you go back to those guys. Now you start to come into the new era of boxing where we went through a phase where U.S. was dominating so much. It was always like U.S., it was Cuba, and it was Russia. And these will always be the guys that be in the finals somewhere, knocking everybody out, doing their thing. But when you got into a situation where they had computer boxing, I don't know if y'all remember that, but they literally had a pad with a red button and a blue button, and somebody was set there pushing buttons to count what blow was effective, but it was garbage to me. And so there was a new era of boxing. You sitting there looking at a fight, a cat may throw about 20 or 30 punches, and they will only register him as scoring one blow, which is crazy. Body shots wasn't even being scored. And we U.S. along with a lot of other countries. We did a lot of bitching and moaning about it. But instead of bitching and moaning about it, what we should have done was learn the system. And it took us a while to catch up.
Gotcha.
And by the time we looked up, Cuba dominated everything. Then Ukraine, then Uzbek, then Kazakhstan. I mean, all these other countries came along, used the system, understood the system, learned the system, and they started beating us. If you go back in time, let's go back to 76 one more time. Ray Leonard style of fight then, he would have been a master on the computer because of the way he fought. And I think,
Man,
because we didn't, somewhere along the lines, didn't learn that particular system in the amateurs, it hurt us as far as our medal counts is concerned. Think about it. Andre Ward was the last gold medalist we had.
Medalist, yeah. Shakur got
As far as male boxing is concerned, then you got to look at Clarissa Shields, 2-time gold medalist, and then Shakur Stevenson won the silver. And so we have never, from in that 80s group, done this bad.
damn, man. I got so many questions because I love talking to coaches, man. I'm a like you said, I'm a nerd for a lot of shit, especially with boxing. So it's always great talking to a teacher about it. My other question to follow up with that, being with the rising of our so-called, not sure how official it is, but with this, recent and rapid rise of the Eastern Europeans, how real are they? Or is this just a figment of the kind of corporate white media's imagination of propping them up? Or are they true players in the game that American fighters have to start taking serious?
I think that because of the way they are viewed, I think they're good boxers. I still think U.S. got the best fighters on the planet. I'm sorry. A lot of the people that come from Eastern Europe, they're strong. But you got to factor in the amateurs. For an example, I think it was the Pan Am Games in 2003. We fought in Dominican Republic. We fought against the Cubans. You had Regan Dow. You had Gamboa. You had Despain, Bartholomew, and you had great Cuban fighter, Mario Kindelan. And a lot of these guys had, I don't know, 300-400 amateur fights versus some of the U.S. kids just kind of sort of getting started, or maybe in their 50s to maybe 80 or 100 fights, amateur fights, and they were older. And so you had to factor all that stuff in. We were literally fighting kids coming out of the juniors, fresh out of the JOs, fighting grown men. So there was a difference in power. There was a difference in experience, especially international competition experience. And so, again, we were behind the ball. We were trying to catch up. The talent is there. It's still there. It's just that I think that the teaching has to be better.
Absolutely. My man, one more question. Damn, Fred, I can do this all day. My other question is sanctioning bodies. What are your thoughts on sanctioning bodies?
Me personally, I like to see all the belts, all of them, become one belt and let the best of the best fight for it. You feel me? And you will truly know pound for pound who is the best fighter on the planet.
Absolutely.
Now you got so many different belts.
Damn.
I heard I was watching a fight the other day, and when the guy ran it down, he called so many letters, and at the end of it, it was a silver belt. That's all I know. You know what I mean? That's where we are now.
It's a racket.
And, right. And what is the most corrupt thing, or if you haven't finished that question, but after that, the most corrupt thing you've seen in boxing and one of the most sinister characters that you advise any fighter to watch out for as far as it comes as promoters, or if that's too much of a you don't want to, cross those bounds because of, you being in the business or whatnot?
I was just going to say I'm still in the game. That information, if I told you that, I had to kill you shortly after.
Right on, right on.
No.
Yeah, I think that's my last question, man. It's great, man, having these conversations and speaking with a teacher. Just having you here, man. We boxing nerds over here, so man, come over more often, man.
Well, thanks for being a fan, man, and I appreciate all your questions, brother.
Yeah, we do this every